All right, there seems to be trouble in the Democratic Progressive Wing, AOCIA or AOC, and Bernie Sanders, that nutless cuck of wonder, are being called out by Rashida Tlaib and everyone else because, as it stands right now, AOC, at least according to Fox News, is rolling back anti-Israeli viewpoints, becoming more electable for high office because, never forget when AOC stood with Amazon union leader Chris Smalls. Remember him? As it stands right now, there has been reports that Chris Smalls was roughed up while in custody when the Israeli Navy, at least apprehended and took over the second boat of the Freedom Flotilla. So let's go ahead and talk about it because Rashida Tlaib was not holding back anything. So let's go ahead and play this video.
This institution's not moving with the majority of their constituency, and it's shameful because if they poll their constituents, if you ask them, do they want another dime? They want us to continue to support the war crimes being committed in Gaza? They would tell you hell no, because they've seen the images we all have seen of babies being starved to bone. Every day that our government continues to withhold funding from UNRWA, they are actively participating in these crimes against humanity. Every day that our government continues to again fund this genocide, they're enabling more death and destruction. We must continue to push for a complete arms embargo of all weapons to the Israeli government. 7 out of 10 Democrats support an arms embargo. So again, no matter what weapons is, I don't care if it's offensive or defensive, whatever you call it, let's stop enabling, again, the genocide. The excuses I've heard will never justify these war crimes. It's past time that my colleagues stop making excuses and listen to the majority of Americans.
Seems like she's specifically calling out somebody. I wonder who she's talking about. I wonder who she's bringing up. I wonder, none other than everyone's favorite. Oh, I'm going to change my colors 24/7. AOC, maybe. Because remember, when you get out-lefted by MTG, you know me, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I got to tell you, honey child, you are screwing up royally. I mean, they're screwing up, and then they're screwing up royally. Okay, now I'm not going to say that MTG is a saint. Okay, because again, Democrat politicians, Republican politicians, they're all the same. They're always going to be the same. But oh my goodness, the squad never was the squad, especially when you see stuff like this here, because AOC, we all know, seems to be changing her tune a lot. First, she doesn't call it a genocide. Then she does call it a genocide. She screws up things here and there. Let's go and play this video. By the way, never think that AOC is going to be sincere. We asked her for help for Forced to Vote, and she said no, and that this is violence. She told Jimmy Dore that this is violence.
Meanwhile, Ainsley, can AOC be president?
Well, it appears that she's changing her stance and softening a little and trying to vote with Democrats and Republicans, be more bipartisan, breaking with the squad. And people are speculating she's doing this only because she wants to run for president or maybe take Chuck Schumer's Senate seat. So AOC recently voted with the majority of the House Dems and Republicans to support funding for Israel's Iron Dome. So that's a clear break from the squad, who made up 5 of the 6 objections. But if you look back in 2021, she lobbied against the Iron Dome funding, and then she reversed course to vote.
Remember, as soon as Hagbag Nancy was wagging her finger in front of AOC's face, she cried and turned her no vote into a present vote. Bravery. You know what I think about that flip-flop, and here's what I think about it.
Here's what I think about it.
That's right.
Present when there were talks about her challenging Chuck Schumer.
So Doug Schoen is a famous poster, Democratic strategist. This is the headline in this new Hill op-ed. President Ocasio-Cortez isn't a far reach as it once was. And this is what he says in that piece. In a move that surprised many of both sides of the political aisle, Progressive Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recently voted with an overwhelming majority of House Democrats and Republicans to support funding for Israel's Iron Dome defense system. Ocasio-Cortez has maintained her image as a critic of Israel, but one who recognizes its right to exist and to self-defense, Brian.
Yeah, that's, I tell you, as an American, I'm encouraged.
The more the parties can agree on stuff that used to be the foundational part of our country is good. The sincerity, very much in doubt. And you might grab that story, and that certainly got my attention, the headline. But you know what also got my attention on Sunday? An article about her district in Queens that continues to be deteriorating at a dangerous moment. And they have this thing, and I'll talk to the commissioner about maybe not on this segment. They also have this thing called Sweetheart Alley, where all these prostitutes line up on a daily basis, and they can't clean it up. Richie Torres from another district.
Oh, Richie Torres is the last person to talk because his district is more broke than AOC's district. Go talk to Jose Vega. Go ahead and talk to my friends in New York City who have independent media networks there. Talk to Due Dissidents. Talk to Jose Vega. Talk to Larry Sharp. Talk to Mike of No Sound Bites. That's across the political spectrum. I got progressives, independents, libertarians, and even, yes, Republican too. I'll tell you all about these Democrat lawmakers in New York City and those districts and how they're being screwed over. Richie Torres is the last person to be talking.
Democrat is saying, I want to get some resources in there. She's in that district and does nothing for her people. So is she trying to make herself famous? Why don't you make yourself noteworthy by taking care of the people that put you in office?
But if you're going to say this, you have to support Israel. If you are elected, you have to support Israel. You can't go back on this. You can't lie to the American people. If you really want to support Israel, then vote for the Iron Dome. But we want to know who you really.
Gee, Fox News, way to tell us how you really feel, but okay. Fair and balanced, folks.
Really are, because you're also aligning yourself with Mamdani. You're the one who's been out there campaigning with him. You're pushing for him, and Mamdani has already said that Israel should not exist as a Jewish state. He's very.
Okay, first of all, you know, RBN's been dragging Mamdani around. Okay, now look, I'm gonna hold my I'm gonna be the, I guess, you know, the patient observer. I'm preparing myself to see Mamdani fail, but you know, at least from what we've been witnessing. You know, he's become, you know, a lot of Democrats are flocking around him. Do I think Cuomo has a chance to get elected after the New York primary? No. I think Mamdani very well could have this in the bag. I would be surprised if he doesn't win, but then again, we'll see what happens. After all, Eric Adams, he definitely wants to win because if he doesn't, he's of no value to the Trump administration. Cuomo wants to win to rebuild his reputation, and both Eric Adams and Cuomo are both darlings of the Democrat Party. And on top of that, they're both running as independents, probably the most easiest independent run in New York State history. Sorry, Larry. Sorry, Jose. You just don't got the connections like Cuomo and Adams has. And then, of course, there's Mamdani. A lot to be said about that. Well, let's rewind this a little bit.
People. If you really want to support Israel, then vote for the Iron Dome. But we want to know who you really are, because you're also aligning yourself with Mamdani. You're the one who's been out there campaigning with him. You're pushing for him. And Mamdani has already said that Israel should not exist as a Jewish state. He's very one-sided on Hamas, and we know where he stands. Does she stand with Mamdani? What are her true feelings when it comes to the Israel issue?
Reporters have to do the hard work, Ainsley, and ask the why.
Fox News, stop it. Stop it. Don't talk about hard work, Fox News. Say again, Fox News.
The Israel issue.
Reporters have to do the hard work, Ainsley, and ask the why. It's not enough for politicians just to change their position. What made you get to this point?
Right.
Why did you change? Why did you vote against the funding all these previous times? How did you get here? That's the important question.
Right. And that's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
As we toss the call, we have something to think about. All right. Very good.
That's right. Oh, but wait, there will be more. We have a whole 2 hours and 40 minutes to cover, so we'll get to it. All right.
Now, look, here's the thing. We're going to rewind back the clocks a little bit, okay? Because, first of all, shout out to the professor right here. AOC stood with Amazon union leader Chris Smalls when she thought it would help her brand. Of course, right? Because that's what these politicians do. They're very parasitic. Democrat and Republican, okay? So if you're a Democrat voter or Republican voter, just remember, both parties are parasitic, all right? You get nothing from the GOP or the DNC. And if you think you do, then tell me, what's it like to believe in Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, and the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot? When he left the Freedom Flotilla to bring food and aid to Gaza, she was silent. And now, with reports that Smalls has been violently beaten by Israeli captors, the silence continues. AOC, why don't you say anything? Well, I want to pull up this video here. Shout out to Sabby Sabs. Sabby Sabs, #1. Much love to Sabby. This is a video from a while back, but she posted this from July 21st, 2025, when AOC conflated anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism. She's playing both sides. She's playing both sides like a politician does.
Conversation today, and welcome. I'm incredibly excited for us to be doing this. In a minute, we're going to be hearing from two of the foremost experts from two of some of the most foremost experts in the country in fighting anti-Semitism in America. And before we get to that panel, though, I want to talk a little bit about why we're doing this, and most importantly, why we're doing it now. Anti-Semitism, hate, and violence against Jews because of their identity is real, and it is dangerous. It is also important to say here in this moment and during that conversation that criticism of the Israeli government is not inherently anti-Semitic, and criticism of Zionism is not automatically anti-Semitic. That being true does not mean that we should not recognize when criticism and when that criticism crosses a line into real harms against our Jewish community.
Now, look, I don't want to see anyone get hurt. I don't like racism. I don't like any forms of abuse. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But you want to know something? You saw what AOC did there? That's a standard tactic that you see from both Democrat and Republican lawmakers. The also valuable, the also wise tactic of word salad and flip-flopping. She says one thing and enacts another. She continues on with the divide. You want to know why Americans are so divided? It's because of these jag-off politicians. Where does AOC stand on the issues? I mean, not only that, with what's happening in Israel, but where does AOC stand on all these other social issues? Okay? Because you had Rashida Tlaib, and I got a longer video of that that video that I played early in the segment to be played, where, first of all, number one, where does AOC stand for forced to vote, Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness? Where is she on all these issues? Remember, she said that Joe Biden was exceeding expectations. She was silent throughout all of 2023 and 2024 when the war was going on. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. You know, in my opinion, these politicians don't care about people in general. Okay? Let's rip off this Band-Aid. These politicians don't care. And Rashida Tlaib, you're asking about, well, what about your guess what? Your colleagues are backstabbing vipers. This is Congress. Even the Roman Senate had more honor than this. I know what I said. There's gonna be people typing, well, gee, the Roman Senate did this. But at the end of the day, at least when those Roman senators went to war and they got slaughtered with their men, at least they fought in a war and died. That's not saying much, but at least, okay, they booted up and suited up and died in a pointless conflict. Not like our lawmakers today, who gladly send us to war, who gladly spend money on war, bail out banks, bail out Wall Street, lie to the American people, divide the American people. Rashida Tlaib, you are surprised that, oh, what, your fellow colleagues in the quote-unquote squad? The squad isn't even the squad. AOC is just like any other politician. She lies, 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 she'll lie again, and oh, wait, one more time, she'll lie again. These politicians don't care about their people. Maybe there's a handful of elected officials at the federal, state, county, city, some governors here and there that maybe do care, but guess what? It's such a small handful. Vast majority are just poisonous vipers who don't care. You think if AOC cared, she would have said something under the Biden administration for the people of Gaza. She didn't. Only until Trump got into office. I'm not wrong. Don't boo me. You know I'm right. What? You know, she ran on Medicare for all. When everyone was doing forced to vote, by the way, Jimmy Dore didn't create forced to vote. It was from the DSA playbook. DSA that is endorsed and made AOC their also fantastic darling. It's from their playbook. Remember when Jimmy Dore asked for forced to vote? You know, him and everybody else. What did AOC say? This is violence. AOC standing with Chris Smalls, the Amazon union leader. Well, it turns out that didn't go too well. Tell me I'm wrong. Boo, Kit. Boo. Are you saying boo, Kit, or oob, Kit? I was saying boo earns. Don't laugh. But we got another video here. I'll play this up here. This is a longer segment of the same video that I played, just so you guys can see it and witness it for your own two eyes.
Starvation as a weapon of war is a war crime. There is no denying it. The Israeli government is deliberately blocking food, medicine, fuel, and tents from entering Gaza. The entire population of Gaza, over 2.1 million people, is experiencing famine and disease. 500,000 Palestinians are facing catastrophic levels of starvation. We are watching it right now live. Children, where you can see their bones, their ribs, you can see their bodies shutting down. Thousands of them are children who are already again experiencing this. At least 113 Palestinians, I know it's more, and including 80 children, have already starved to death. Palestinians have been forced to eat grass, animal feed. I even saw an image of children licking just a little bit amount of flour in the back of a truck. Palestinians, again, have been sitting here waiting for food that is right over the border. Trucks carrying food and medicine supplies sitting there, blocked again by the Israeli government from entering. Let me remind all of you the words of the Israeli finance minister, because it needs to be said. This is an Israeli minister who said, nobody will let us cause 2 million civilians to die of hunger, even though it might be justified and moral. Now, Israeli forces are deliberately shooting and starving Palestinians lining up for food. Over 1,000 murdered in the past 2 months alone, according to the UN. The so-called Gaza, quote, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a joke, inhumane, immoral. It's a deadly sham, a trap backed by the Israeli government and the Trump administration. The United Nations even calls it a death trap. The Israeli soldiers themselves have admitted themselves that they were ordered to deliberately shoot unarmed Palestinians that were just coming there, creating a killing field. This is illegitimate organization that Trump administration with the Israeli government, again, giving millions of dollars to them. And we say enough is enough. You know, this institution's not moving with the majority of their constituency. And it's shameful, because if they poll their constituents, if you ask them, do they want another dime? They want us to continue to support the war crimes being committed in Gaza? They would tell you hell no. Because they've seen the images we all have seen of babies being starved to bone. Every day that our government continues to withhold funding from UNRWA, they are actively participating in these crimes against humanity. Every day that our government continues to again fund this genocide, they're enabling more death and destruction. We must continue to push for a complete arms embargo of all weapons to the Israeli government. 7 out of 10 Democrats support an arms embargo. So again, no matter what weapons is, I don't care if it's offensive or defensive, whatever you call it, let's stop enabling, again, the genocide.
But AOC doesn't care. If she did care, she would have actually been more consistent and actually call out Joe Biden from 2023 to 2024. But anytime people called her out, people were called fascists. People were called all sorts of names. You know, despite the oligarchy tour that her and Bernie are doing, all it is just a way to trick people and get them to cope. I'm going to make a controversial statement in a 3, 2, and an uno. The liberal Democrat lawmakers and the quote-unquote progressive Democrat lawmakers and anyone that vote blue, no matter who, industrial complex, if they really cared about the people of Gaza, or either that, all the people in the Middle East, all the innocent civilians, be it from Gaza, the West Bank, Yemen, Syria, I'll even include Israel too. Why not? Why not? Yemen, Iran. You think if these politicians really gave a damn, they would actually be doing something to ensure there to be peace so that everyone could be happy. But they don't, because it's about money, politics, and dividing us. Rashida Tlaib saying, oh yeah, these people in Congress, the people in Congress are vipers, Representative Tlaib. And I even have to look at you with a raised eyebrow because we asked you for force to vote too. You know, it's almost as if you politicians are professional liars and you have this outrage and you're shocked and all of a sudden you get your conscience back. Maybe as soon as you see the disturbing imagery. They're all full of lies. They're all full of crap. In fact, hold on. Black Zen. F all these politicians, electoral politics, and F their capitalist elections. Tired of the lies on Kick says they're full of crap. Absolutely. And Teddy G, AOC acknowledges the genocide and turns right around to give Israel $500 million. If you had any brains, you would not give them one dime. I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. And Commercial Herschel with the final note. But AOC will be able to do more as a senator. Trust the plan. Trust the plan. Black Zen. Oh, you know what? AOCIA. It's all a waste. And they don't care. I'm so sorry, but they don't care. They don't care.